Game Fest down here in Austin. How are you doing today?
Man, my bank account are hurting right now, but we found some really awesome games this weekend, and we have lots of really awesome things to show you. We just got finished watching a concert with Tech Force, and it was he killed it. We're gonna have to show the video on YouTube.
Oh yes, we definitely have that. I mean, he managed to kill it even when the music cut out. So that was a great improvisation moment. So it was great, and we're gonna share that.
We're gonna have a special acapella version of
all of that stuff. It's great. So we're just letting you know, as we're sitting here tiredly trying to collect our budget and everything else and our poor aching feet, we will show you what we've done so far, and then we'll get back to you in a minute.
Come and tell us who your favorite Pokemon is and which team you root for.
Welcome to Classic Game Fest.
116.
Around me is head, nothing but net. You're alright. Let's go explore! Yep, gonna do it. Okay, over in the console area. Got someone playing Wolfenstein here. Someone's playing Oregon Trail right there. Are your classic games like Virtual Fire? Sight Bite, Bender, Dr. Mario, Light. Doing this and walking to the theme of Reading Rainbow. My childhood is complete. Oh yes. Terrible, but oh yes. Oh yes. NBA Jams. Boom, shaka waka waka. And then there's the Simpsons game over there. And Street Fighter tournament up here. NBA Jams. You wanna play Space Invaders? Oh no. From the corner. Not as much as it was yesterday. Yesterday was pretty warm about this time, but I think everyone else was pretty much reached their broke threshold yesterday. So. Awesome stuff. Hold on. What? I cut it off.
Lots of vendors, lots of awesome stuff. I don't know how many games I bought this weekend, but it's probably more than I've probably bought in the last year.
I think he wins the prize for the most boxes ever purchased for this buy a box and see what's inside. So, and they had like several of those there, but for once I did not purchase them this year. You can see them over there. So,
yeah, it's been a good weekend. Lots of fun stuff. And
you can stare at Captain America's ass there, but okay. It was just there. Husband, don't forgive me. It was an accident.
Tiff, let's start with Classic Game Fest because we went to Austin. We returned to Austin once again.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess let's start off with kind of what did you like most about Classic Game Fest? Like, what is it about that specific convention that you really enjoyed?
Now, this is coming from a place of bias because I'm also doing this compare and contrast between Let's Play because Let's Play is very similar to Classic Game Fest, but of course Classic Game Fest is the biggest Classic Game Fest in Texas of this sort of layout. Really, just Let's Plays is just the tip of the iceberg with that one, but it definitely does not have the same kind of crowd. But definitely what I liked about Classic Game Fest is that they had more vendors there. So you definitely had the chance to run around and do your compare and contrast with people selling different kinds of games. And we probably, I think we spent more money on the games there than we did at Let's Play because they were definitely more to offer, especially since there were a few that really didn't sell. It's not like they didn't sell the same kind of game, but the different variety of games we were looking for, especially since you had just picked up a Nintendo DS, so you were looking for games for that and stuff. And you had your laundry list of everything that you wanted to do, and I was just shopping for the sake of shopping. But there was a lot more people that we've seen either before. Like we saw this one called Senshi. Is it Senshi? The ones that sold the earrings in all the Mass Effect stuff.
Oh, yeah. Them.
Like, they were there, and they were from RTX when we saw them. So we definitely paid the visit to their stuff before their shit got sold out, and Mia finally got her N7 shirt. What?
Yay!
So there was more vendors for your buck to go and shop around. Maybe like 5 or so people selling art and stuff. T-shirts were a couple of them here and there. But it was mostly for old school video games. They had clearances out the ass from Game Over video games. And it just felt like a big clearance event, flea market event for video games. So that was definitely a great draw for that. Also, Let's Play, we really did not see much of that because we remember we had met Tech Force originally at the National Video Game Museum back in April. But when we had seen him at Let's Play, but we did not know where they were having all the musicians really. We just had that one DJ guy. Here they had a stage and they had sets of musicians coming up on stage entertaining the crowds, and Tech Force was amongst them. He actually came down to Austin too, and apparently he had done it before. So that was also another thing, having good nerd music on stage. There was Bitforce that played probably one of the coolest Pokemon rock themes I've ever heard. By the time they were done to Pokemon, it was a biggest crowd I've ever seen surrounding that stage. And they also did like the Transformers theme, and they did it for DuckTales. They sung everything. It was great. Also, there was great incentives with their program. They had like little coupons where you can go to Game Over video games. If you bought like for like $10 or below, you would get like a free game if you use a coupon. And also they were running a sale. If you were wearing your bracelet, was practically your talisman to get into the place. So, you know, if you did that, that was an extra 20% off. So, yeah, we definitely went exploring. They definitely want you to get out and explore the area, especially with Pokemon Go.
And there were plenty of people playing Pokemon Go. It was kind of interesting because we would go and we would shop, go get food, and pop a squat somewhere and just people watch. And so many people were just running around the park, just catching their Pokemon and having a good time. And I'm like, oh, this is what conventions should be about. Just the fellowship and getting together and all the awesomeness and everything. So that was a lot of fun. It was quite the adventure. So,
speaking of Pokemon, we have ran into someone I had bought a picture of Raziel from on Etsy. Her name is Katie Clark, and she actually is from Seattle. And she came down here and did the Pokemon. I think they did like a little Pokemon walk beforehand or something. But she came down here and caught like a bunch of Charmanders. She was like, it was great because they don't have that up north. I think Pokemon came out at the right time. Could you imagine that same kind of hype if it came out in the winter? That would just be bad publicity.
Oh my gosh, it would be just, they would boycott that game and light it on fire. Like, what do you mean we gotta go out in the snow? It's 20 feet below outside. How dare you?
I don't want to.
Yeah. But yeah, Classic Game Fest was just a blast. It was nice because it was literally a giant flea market. I found so many DS games that I wasn't even expecting to find. I wasn't even expecting to even get half of them. But between going through the different vendors and then going out and venturing around Austin and, oh, look, they're having a sale. Let's check this out. I mean, it was a steal. I made out like a bandit. I really did. It was great.
It was great. I'm like, and that coupon being in there, if we never had that coupon to go to like the Game Over video games in Austin, if we had not done that, then you would not have found Phoenix Wright because it was at the store, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And Assassin's Creed 2, Discovery. You would not have been able to find that either if we hadn't gotten out. And so that was a great thing that they didn't keep it local and confined there, that they were just like, okay, once you get done with us, why don't you go out and explore the city? Here's some places where you can go and hang out. Here's some gamer hangouts here. You can go shoot pool here, have a drink here, you know, get out and explore. And so I'm like, that's pretty cool. Of course, they have had about 10 years to do that and perfect it, where to send people. So I think they did it right.
Yeah. And I really love the bands. I think that was one of my favorite parts that I wasn't really expecting. I knew they had musical guests, but I was like, oh, okay, they're going to have music, nice. But what we didn't know was going in that they would have everything all in one place. And so even while you're shopping, you hear the bands and everything. And at one point, I felt bad. Tech Force, his music cut out suddenly. And so he had a couple of people help him out and provide a
One Up and Aramis.
I think so. And they provided a backbeat for him for one of his songs, Optimal.
Oh, Aramis was on point. And that was the sickest beat.
They absolutely killed it because they knew the beat, they knew his lyrics, and his daughter got up on stage at one point and she was just adorable. She killed it. And so it was nice to see that you have that camaraderie among the musicians, like they were supporting each other and like, oh, go check them out, go see their merchandise and everything else. Like that was cool.
And that was with a lot of the artists there, that so many of the other ones that had came before would just cross here, like Doug Funny would get on stage if someone else was set like the day after, because he went on Saturday and we didn't really hang around the bands on Saturday, but definitely on Sunday they were still very supportive. We'll sit through everyone's set. Nerds, a fellow nerd, so they're their own nerd groupies.
But unfortunately, there were some things about Classic Game Fest that we weren't really expecting. It sounded like it was going to be a lot bigger than what it was, so it was kind of surprising seeing everything squashed in together. You know, you had the vendor room in the same area where the bands were, and then also you had, I guess, the panels were also in that room, and so there's just a lot of activity, there's a lot of things going on. There's not a lot of space for concessions or for you to really sit down and eat. You'd have to get your food, go out into like the lobby area and hope find a spot. And so there's a lot of noise and a little bit of chaos. So if you're not really into the bands, there's not really a way to be like, okay, I just really want to shop. I just really want to be over here. And I think just with the size of the room and just with all the stuff that goes on, it gets very crowded very quickly. And so there were a couple times where I would be at a booth somewhere and trying to look at things, and I feel very awkward because there's this crowd of people. I'm like, okay, I need to move. I need to get somewhere, and I'd have to come back later on when the crowd has dissipated a little bit. But it definitely felt very kind of claustrophobic at times. I wish there was like a separate area just for the panelists to speak. In a way, it's good because it invites you to come in whenever you want to. You don't feel like you're interrupting anything because it's one big open area. But it creates a lot of noise and confusion when you have all that stuff going on at once, and you're either trying to talk to someone or you're trying to pay attention to something, or heaven forbid if you're actually running a panel and you see different things going on, I'm pretty sure it's hard for them. So there was that.
Yeah, and I don't mean this to be like any kind of negative thing, but there wasn't like a lot of seating there. It was practically first come first serve between the panel and eating the food at the food court. There was like two different places where you can get food from, like pizza and stuff like that, and then you had another thing from the actual convention food. But then there was like 3 tables at the most for thousands of people to sit and eat. So a lot of people had to congregate outside. But it also makes me wonder like how many people were just sitting at panels so they can just rest their feet.
Yeah. Hopefully more people were there for panels than what we thought.
it was just very small and smaller than I thought it would be for at least the panels, especially for, I guess, the little bit of space that they could, allocate. But I'm like, how come they couldn't just put that in one of the meeting rooms? Because there were additional rooms at the convention center. It didn't have to just be there, but
I liked the arcade area. I thought it was going to be a lot bigger. I guess because of the way that it was advertised, it seemed like it was going to be a pretty big area. And they did have quite a little bit more than Let's Play, but I was expecting kind of like the arcade area to be a lot larger, a lot more consoles and things available. But they had some really good stuff. You just had to, get there early and just okay, before you shop, just go there, straight there, and that guarantees that you can at least have some time to play. And
we had to play Oregon Trail. That was good.
Yeah, and I beat the game, and all of my people lived. It was awesome.
All of them lived,
and I didn't have to cheat or anything like that. So. But I think just the biggest problem with Classic Game Fest was just its own space and its own growing pains. I mean, it's a big, big crowd, and so I'm not sure how long they'll be able to maintain their presence at the Palmer Event Center, which is where we were, and having to use that space in a way that works for everyone so that people are not feeling like they're crammed in, and it gives more time for people to attend panels, and there's more space for vendors and whatnot and arcades. But I absolutely loved it. It was just a really fun experience just to go and just be on a hunt. Like, it felt weird from a normal convention because while there were panels, that wasn't the main draw for us. And so we could spend more time digging through boxes and old games and try and figure out what was the best option for us. And a lot of them were very affordable.
So with that being said, what did you like, Classic Game Fest more or Let's Play more?
I like them both, but for vastly different reasons. Let's Play is strictly about celebrating playing video games. While you do have the vendor room and everything, and you could go look around, it's a small thing compared to just going and enjoying gaming for what it is, and that's playing and, engaging in tournaments, playing at the arcades, playing with your friends, trying out old consoles. It's a great way to just go and explore. You're not having to worry about money. Let's just hang out. Let's just go game. Let's just party. And it's just a lot of fun in that way because with conventions, they're very money driven. And a big part of the experience is, going to the vendor room and spending, X amount of money. Whereas with Let's Play, it's strictly about the love of gaming in itself. And so I think that's what makes the difference. And that's why it's such a different experience. With Classic Game Fest, it was more of an expo in a sense where it focuses more on if you are looking for older games, older consoles, you want to add to your collection, you want to add to your library. You're celebrating gaming, but it's in a different way. And if you really enjoy classic gaming specifically, it's a little bit like a regular convention to me, but it was more rewarding because of the types of things that we were trying to find. Because I already came in with a wish list. I already knew what stuff I wanted to look for. And so it made each game that I found, it made it much more rewarding because I was like, okay, I already have a game plan. I'm not just flying in by the seat of my pants. I already have an idea of what I'm looking for what system. So depending on how you approach each convention, I think that makes all the difference. What about you, Tiff? What did you like more? Was it Classic Game Fest or Let's Play, and why, and all that jazz?
Well, I'm kind of like you. I liked it for vastly different reasons, but I think for me, just on a personal note, I think Let's Play just edges out Classic Game Fest slightly more, maybe 51 to 49, just for the simple fact that maybe because it's so close to home for us, that it had like a more of a homey feel, that it felt like you were going to a friend's house and pulling up a chair and playing, especially that you got the chance to do that. It wasn't primarily focused on your gaming purchase, but the option was presented to you to do that if you wanted to. But as for a variety, no, there wasn't. It was definitely at Game Expo where it was the gamer flea market. That's what Classic Game Fest was. And to me, it wasn't as cool as that was. It seemed like the expo was more the focus of all these vendors, get rid of all of their stock in comparison to Let's Play, and that was the main focus, not really the other stuff, the panels, the games, and all that stuff kind of almost seemed like pushed off to the side and an afterthought to me. especially like all the games. Like, it seemed like there was more arcade games at Let's Play than there was at Classic Game Fest.
Yeah.
And of course they had their rows of tables for people to sit. It was about the same room size as it was like Let's Play, but just slightly more, maybe like a couple more tables worth of games for people to sit down and play, but it wasn't good enough for the ratio of people flocking through.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess they were also counting on kind of like what we had done. We were only there for a few hours. We didn't stay there the entire time like we did for Let's Play, because it was like you collect your shit and you go. That's all there is to that. Especially since there was like a seating, there was really no invitation to really stay. It was more for you to be recycled out. So I kind of like Let's Play for the homey feel, and not just because it was here. I would have felt that way if it was the reverse. And Let's Play had done that, where there was hardly any place for you to really stay. They just wanted you to get out. But I did like Classic Game Fest for the incentive buys, because there were a lot of games that I managed to find from a vendor. Like, I managed to find the original Legend of Zelda game for $20. To me, that was a great incentive buy. And I found a Toe Jam and Earl game. I am not getting rid of that. So each of them had its perks, but I think for me, Let's Play kind of edges it out just a little bit more, just for that home feel.
Yeah, it's important to kind of keep in mind certain conventions serve specific purposes, and so I think the expectations kind of going in, then that way you can sort of tailor your experience to that.